What is up YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to talk about 3 things that you don't need as a detailer when you're starting off your business. Okay, so now with these 3 things, you can buy them later on your detailing business, but when you're starting out your detailing business, these are 3 things that you really don't need straight away. So when you're starting your detailing business, look at spending money where it's needed first before you buy all these other things. Like invest in a good vacuum, invest in a good pressure washer, find a good APC cleaner, maybe even a degreaser, learn maybe even how to polish. I feel like those are the things that will get you more further in this detailing world than if you were to just have more of the gimmick side of things. They're not gimmicks, the 3 things that I'm going to mention, but you're better off trying to build a foundation, build off something instead of buying all these things and looking at trying to better off your detailing repertoire when you still need to work on the basics and fundamentals of detailing itself. Okay, so now if you haven't guessed the first one already, it is going to be an air compressor. So I've only always heard good things with air compressors. I like using the air compressor, but again, when you're starting your detailing company, this is just going to take space because a lot of detailers, especially me, we start out in cars. So when we have something like this, it takes a lot of room. So like I said, this is something you can live by without. You don't need it straight away. There's a lot of substitutes for things like this as well. Like you can just use a toothbrush, use a detailing brush, get a more high quality microfiber towel that grabs into dirt and things. You can even spray your APC into cup holders or anything like such, let it dwell, and then you can suck it up with your vacuum. There's 1,000,001 ways to how to detail a car. Even though this has a convenient aspect to things, it is something you can totally get by. Okay, you can even say that you want to blow all the dust and all the dirt out of the fibers of the carpets, right? You can get the same results with a drill brush, or you can even get a hand brush and hand brush it out. Like I said, this is something you don't need straight away. You're better off spending your money on a better vacuum and a better pressure washer and learning the fundamentals, learning the basics, mastering those things, then adding stuff like this. Because then when you go through the details with the basics and the fundamentals, then add this, then you're going to realize how much easier it is to detail. Okay, so number 2 on the list is a Bissell Spot Clean Auto. This, or even the turbo that they have, the bigger version of this, it is not necessarily needed. It is a great extraction equipment to have when you are starting off your business, but again, I've stated a lot of times in my other videos, you're better off buying a shampoo extraction head for your wet and dry vacuum and converting that into a extractor than to buy this, because the power that a wet and dry vacuum has is so much more and more beneficial than using a Bissell, where the motor is a lot smaller and it won't extract as fast or even as good as a wet and dry vacuum. So with this as well, the Bissell, it does have a spray to spray chemicals on. I have shown in my van setup video as well, that I'll link down below in the description, that you can get a pressure sprayer, spray it on. You're going to have to dual brush it anyway. Dual brush it, agitate the chemicals, and then just extract it. For how powerful wet and dry vacuums are, you're going to only do 1 pass. You can get away with 1 pass. You might need 2, just depending on the severity of the car, but usually most cars, you're only going to need 1 pass, especially with a wet and dry vacuum. But with something like an auto spot cleaner Bissell, you're going to have to go over it 3 to 4 times, maybe even more. And compared to this, and compared to a wet and dry vacuum, this will keep the seats a lot more wet. It does not extract as much as people think it does. That's why it's better off getting a powerful machine, extracting it properly. It will dry a lot faster than a Spot Pro Bissell. Especially when you are a new business in detailing, it doesn't make money sense to buy an Auto Bissell Pro when a shampoo extraction head for a wet and dry vacuum only costs around $30. I will link what I use, I'll link it down below in the description, but you're going to save so much more money because this in Australia costs $270, whereas that extraction head costs $30. You're going to get more bang for your buck, especially with the shampoo. And the vacuums you get, the wet and dry vacuums, they're meant for wet and dry. There's a reason why they call it that. You know, some perform better than others, but again, you need to find which one is better for you. And then all you have to do is add the extraction head and you got it. That's it. You know, you've just now saved this much room in your detailing mobile setup. Okay, so number 3 is just a blower, right? This is something that I'm not a big fan of, regardless of how big it is or how handheld convenient it is. It is useful. All the blowers to dry cars, it is useful, especially to try and do a touchless dry to minimize any type of scratches on the paint. But again, starting out, this is something you do not need at all. Especially, I notice with a lot of blowers, if they're not powerful enough, they won't dry the car as fast as you want it to, especially if the car does not have a ceramic coating or it doesn't even have a wax coating where water beads. If the water is not beading and it sheets over the panel, it's a nightmare to try to dry with a blower. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule. If you do get a higher grade blower, it will be able to blow. But again, this is if you're starting out, you're on a budget. You don't need something that will save you maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes to dry. When realistically anyways, I hand dry with microfiber towels and that only takes me 5 to 10 minutes. Even with a blower, you're not saving too much time. Also with the paint scratches, that if you fear that you might scratch their paint, don't be aggressive when you're drying the car. That's why we get drying towels. That's why we get high quality microfiber towels to dry cars. Let the microfiber towel work for you, not you work for it. Don't sit there scrubbing it, don't put too much pressure. Let what the microfiber towels like designed to do, to dry the car, and let it dry for you. Apply light pressure. You'll 100% minimize any type of scratching you think you're going to do to the car. Okay guys, that's going to conclude the video. It's just going to be a short and simple of the 3 things that I feel like detailers don't need straight away. Out of the 3, I do believe that 2 will come in handy later on as you grow your business and get better, and that will be an air compressor. Especially if you guys open a shop, open a station, you might as well have one of this. Even if you don't use it for cars, it's a good general blower you can use to keep your workplace clean. And again, with mobile setups, we have limited space. We can't take everything. I wish we could take everything. I wish I could take everything. But again, we have to be more reasonable with the space that we're giving, especially if our vans are limited, our cars are limited as well. Sorry. Again, this is something I'd say later on to get, but it's not something that is necessary. And I would recommend the bigger versions of blowers, or even the battery powered, they use leaf blowers now as well. They're handy, but again, if the car's not coated or has a ceramic coat or a wax coat, it's kind of like you're better off just drying it by hand. But again, if you're going to dry that by hand, you might as well dry the wax coatings, ceramic coatings with hand as well, with obviously premium microfiber towels, because that will minimize any type of scratching, and it's going to teach you the fundamentals of detailing as well, because you need to be able to work off those fundamentals, because that's what separates a good detailer from a great detailer, and it's how well you guys do the fundamentals of detailing. Okay guys, that's gonna conclude the video. If you liked the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.